Good afternoon, my friends.
Good afternoon, Carl and friends. Welcome.
It is with a bit of excitement that we come in today and to be able to share some thoughts with you. We have been obviously watching and observing what you have been learning today. And we are so excited that you have this foundation and understand these principles that were presented because as even the Master Jesus talked about that you can't build a house without a foundation or it'd be on shifting sands, and therefore you needed a good structure. The history of what happened in the past is important for you to understand what happened when the religion of Christianity was formed, and how their one branch was trying to remain true to the real teachings of the man who walked on the earth plane, and the other one wanted to use it as a front in order to control people and to extort money from them so they could feed off of them and not have to go out and labor, but could have people come and bring the money to them every week and live a grand lifestyle. And that was the purpose of them, to enslave them, and that they went about to try to shut down all knowledge and all truth of spirituality and of giftedness, and of shut down the intuitive brain, and in order to control people. But at this point, you have that understanding now. So in a sense, I'm almost like preaching to the choir, if you might say that. It is the time of the season for you to be celebrating the man who came to the earth plane, the man Jesus. It is traditional for you to celebrate it at this time. As you saw, it was not his birthday that you are celebrating, but the god Mithras. Jesus was actually born on the 6th of August, but we don't acknowledge that because that did not align with what the Pauline Christians wanted to do. They wanted to make it simple for people who believed in Mithra to believe and change the name of the god and basically do the same rituals and practices, and it made it easier for them to come to the Christian churches and bring their money. So that was part of the grand plan. But the man Jesus who walked the earth plane taught many teachings. He had he had connections to the highest realms of the spirit world, and was bringing teachings through that people could not really obtain. They didn't have the background as was discussed today, but he did bring the truth as the best that he could to the few people who had the capacity to understand. And some of these truths were written down in these books, and fortunately they were hidden in the desert so that they would resurrect in a time when people would be more open to the concept, where people would understand the slavery that was produced by the Catholic Church, and are able to push it aside and open themselves up to the new teachings, which is what you people are being able to do at this point. But we also want you to, at this holiday season, to take time to not only reflect on the master teacher and his teachings, but to reflect in your own lives and to enjoy the holiday, to make precious memories with the people that you love, to celebrate and to be joyous at this time, because it is a time to realize and to commemorate that when the solstice comes and you celebrate again, the day of Christmas actually comes. It comes on the third day after the solstice, when you are beginning to have a slight bit more light into the world. And we want you to focus on the fact that you are coming into the time of the year where light is increasing day by day. The amount of daylight increases, and we would like you to focus on that and to try to increase your spiritual light daily, every day, to match what is happening in the world of nature, because that is what the world needs at this point. It needs to have spiritual light being shined into the world, as we have discussed before. So we want you to understand all this, and we want you to enjoy the holidays as much as you possibly can. Make it a time to be thankful for the knowledge that you are receiving, and to walk with the light and in the light, and to be the light as much as you possibly can. It is our blessings that we send to you at this time of holiday. We are now ready for the first question.
Thank you, Carl. So the first question is from Carol. And in what dimension do you and the helpers who help respond to our questions, where do you guys exist right now? What dimension are you in? Thank you.
We smile at your question because it is one that is, it amuses us a little bit. You have been taught that there are 7 planes of existence, and in a sense, that is true. But within each of those 7 bands, there are thousands of different frequencies. So we exist on a specific number within a certain band. We are, if you want to use what you learned, that there are 7 frequencies, we are in the, let's say, 5.95. We're very close to the 6th frequency, but we're not quite there yet. But as you know, people travel between the frequencies. The parable in the Bible, even though it's the Old Testament, of Jacob's ladder, where he saw angels going up and down the ladder, represents the spirit people being able to go down the in frequency to help certain people, and then going back to their own home frequency. So that's why the angels were going up and down the ladder. So yes, we are not constricted to a specific frequency, but yet we can't go higher until we earn that right in our own evolution. So we are just about in the sixth frequency. Do you understand?
Yes, thank you. Next question is from Karen and Joe. Babies, toddlers, and young children are full of a loving curiosity, zest for life, and a thirst for knowledge. They are sponges and take in so much every day. They are much more in tune with spirit, pointing at things we don't see, talking to the invisible, or to things like plants and animals. We only have a few precious years till they start to spread their wings and begin to leave the nest. What can we do as caretakers to nurture and encourage that attunement throughout their time with us, while still protecting and teaching them about what most of us adults call, quote, the real world, unquote? Thank you.
That is a very, very good question that you asked, and we are glad that you gave us an opportunity to speak about it. When a child comes into your physical world, their body enters it, their soul has entered the physical body, but yet there is a lot of connection to the world of spirit. And the first years, as you have talked about, that connection is still very strong. For most children, because their parents do not recognize the world of spirit per se, that connection kind of atrophies, it kind of disintegrates because it's not being used. Because no one is telling the child that, yes, there's a world of spirit and you still are connected to it, and it's a world that you hear and see, but yet I may not be able to hear and see it. And they do not give the child permission to acknowledge it. It's because it doesn't exist for the parent, and therefore they don't support it, they don't nourish it. With the knowledge that you should sit down and you should talk to your child and explain to them that there are two worlds. There's the spirit world and the physical world. And the spirit world's on, we can't see it because you can talk about vibrations, you can talk about things. The child may not understand it all, but they might get some of it. And you might find a way to talk about that. You might talk about television and that the picture's on the screen, but where's that picture coming from? And talk about TV waves that are invisible that come into that TV that get converted down so that you can see them and hear them. You can use that as an example. The child will understand that because it's something concrete they can see. And you can talk about the fact that while mommy and daddy do not hear the spirit people, unless you do, that but or see them, you understand they exist, but that your child can hear or see them, and to encourage them to keep communicating with them, because if they know that it's permissible to talk about this with you and that you're understanding and supporting the fact that they are talking to someone that you cannot see, and that doesn't disturb you, and you actually encourage it to happen, you will encourage them to continue their with their communication with the world of spirit, their natural mediumship. We all come into the world with it, but it is usually not supported. In my case, when I came into the world, it was a terrible thing because they thought I was talking to the devil. But in fact, I wasn't. But with your knowledge, you can nurture that communication and support it. And with that continued use of it, it will not atrophy, and the child will continue to be connected to the world of spirit throughout their life if it's nurtured enough and becomes strong enough and encouraged enough, and they start to understand what a medium is. You can teach that to them at one point, and you can tell them that they are the television set, that they are picking up frequencies that most people can't hear, and they are converting them, and it can explain them to the physical people. So use the radio, use the TV as a teaching tool, and because it's something that the child can see and understand, and therefore you can nurture that communication and encourage it and keep doing it as much as you can. Ask the child, what did you hear from the spirit world today? What did your invisible friend say? You can the language you use is not all that important. The fact that you are encouraging them and nurturing them and feeding that communication and that practice, and you're not letting it atrophy, you're not letting it wither away. And that is what the important thing is. Do you understand?
Thank you. Next question is from Karen. How can we help someone who is confused about God because they were raised in a restricted and dogma filled man made religion like Jehovah's Witnesses, for example? Thank you.
There's only so much that you can do. It depends on the individual. Is the individual questioning anything, or are they staunchly firm, entrenched into their beliefs? If they are discontent at all or they're questioning things, that opens the door for you to plant a seed that will have to nurture over time. Just as this instrument talked about the fact that he was resistant to the truth initially, and it took years for him to allow that to really grow until he could accept it. You have to have patience with the person. If the person's totally closed down, there is very little you can do. You can talk to them, but they won't believe it. You can have them read a book, but they won't believe it. They will think that it is coming from a source that's not true, or all kinds of things. They'll come up with any kind of excuse. But it's usually the person who has a little bit of contention with what their belief systems was, and it was being told that, and that allows you to plant a seed, that allows you to give them the information. But it's not something you can force on someone. It's something that they have to have the desire to pursue. Again, if the crack is there, it's kind of very much as you have noticed, I am sure. You go walking along, and all of a sudden there's a little uh, bush or a little tree growing out of a rock. There was a slight crack, and a seed got in there, and somehow, against all odds, it was able to grow, and it was able to flourish, and eventually it gets bigger and bigger. And this is the very good analogy of what it is for a person who is entrenched in dogma. If the crack is not there for the seed to be plant itself in, there's really very little hope. If the crack is there, you can slowly spoon feed them, as I used to say. You understand?
Thank you. The next question is from Ed, who's a professor. Um, I don't understand the question, and he hasn't gotten back to me yet, but I'm going to ask it as he wrote it. If if it's not clear, then maybe for next month we can clarify with him. So here's Ed's question. When will the National Education Plan be in academic MIS literature once the doctoral is concluded? Thank you.
I believe what this person is talking about is exactly what I just spoke about. He is the one that is trying to plant a seed that is different than the current philosophy in education. He is trying to plant a He is trying to plant a seed of a new paradigm, of a new way of approaching teaching that is more back to exploring and debating and a back and forth. If you go back to Socrates, he used to ask the students provocative questions in order for them to respond to it, and then debate them about what they said, and therefore learning took place. And he is trying to bring that back because the educational systems on all levels have become very dogmatic, and there is one way of doing things and one theology, if we want to use that word, that is being promoted. And if you say the wrong thing, people want to punish you. So he wants to try to combat that and get things back to the way they were in ancient times, in times where people would debate and go back and forth and develop their own opinions as opposed to swallowing a certain ideology. That is what we feel.
Thank you for that insight. And we have no further questions. I want to thank you all so much for helping us tonight.
Again, it is our pleasure. We are very happy to be here and to assist you in your journey of leaving your old belief systems behind and opening the doors to a new way of thinking. And we are so happy that you continue to come to our school in order to learn more and more each time. Again, our blessings for the holiday seasons are blessings of being focused on being the light unto the world, of knowing the truth of what the man Jesus wanted to teach, and to holding that truth, projecting that truth, and being that truth for other people to see and hear. Our blessings with you and our best wishes for the holiday season. So
Thank you. We love you.
there's something that I wish to share with you that I feel is quite important. Um, and I was going to start the whole service off with this, but I forgot. When I watched that YouTube video of Elaine Pagel's lecture, she talked about the book of Genesis and God creating the world. And she said the first thing God said was, "Let there be light." And there was light. But yet he hadn't created the sun and the moon yet. But there was light. And that little remark ignited a bridge in my brain between thoughts. We have been talking about becoming the divine crystalline energy and moving into that. And for myself personally, I would feel a certain shift doing that. But after what she said, I realized that I was missing the link of visualizing myself becoming light. I know Carl channeled through me that, and to tell you that you are the burning bush, you are the crystalline energy, so that whenever you enter the crystalline energy, when you are tuning to that, visualize yourself as a flame of light, of being light, of being a light being, of light coming across. When I did this the first time, there was such an increase of energy that I felt. It was amazing because I didn't make that connection. He said, well, you are the burning bush, but I didn't see myself as a flame. I didn't see myself on fire when I was doing it. But doing that, there was a total shift of energy. So now I see, Carl used to talk about the fact that when he used to follow the C&E practices with the students, that they would bring about enough light, they would expand their aura so much that it would be seen outside the building and that it would be seen in the heavens by the spirit world. So at this point, I see myself filling the room up with light, and then it's almost like I become an airplane over my house, and I see rays of light coming right through the roof. So I see all of that because the crystalline energy is infinite. It's all over and it's in everything. So it's just visualizing that, you feel a much more intense amount of energy for yourself. So I wanted to share that with you because it was very startling to me the first time I had that realization, and the first time I employed it to attune to the crystalline energy. It was a whole different experience. So I wanted to share that with you, and I had forgotten before. So anybody have any comments or questions or anything?
Well, I did. I sent a question to you, Carol, but I guess somehow it kind of has to do with what we're talking about.
I'm so sorry. I didn't get a question from you. We can ask it next time. Did you send it to the Gifts of the Spirit email?
Questions, yeah.
When did you send it?
Today, about maybe an hour before the session started.
Yeah, I probably at that point had checked it right before, and I didn't check again. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It was talking about the beam of light and everything, and it kind of went with what's going on, about this beam of light that came through. They picked it up in Utah, and they said it came from beyond the Milky Way galaxy, and it came into the Earth. And it was on the news, and I thought maybe that was the beginning of the age of knowing or something like that. It was very scientists couldn't explain it.
You know, I heard that too, Luvera. And I also heard, I want proof of this, that there were a lot of, quote, angels coming into the earth right now.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know if
something.
it's connected.
Yeah, so it's like it made me wonder with everything that you taught us today, that somehow this is, it relates to what you, Susan, are talking about, trying to enlighten us. And I think it's maybe, I don't know, the universe is trying to send something to us, because no one can explain what it was. It was a strong, powerful beam of light, and it was picked up by this telescope in Utah. And they say it came from beyond the Milky Way and galaxy.
Yeah. The impression I'm getting right now is that it had to do with helping to raise the frequency of the vibration of the earth. So that I know we've been talking a lot about the consciousness being raised, the vibration being raised, and this is like what I'm getting is that it's like a stimulation. And so in other words, because of this energy coming in, it's taking wherever we're at and making it rise a little bit. So it's they're assisting and bringing the frequency up, and I feel it's coming from another well, we call them aliens, but another species, another civilization that's way beyond where we are, and it's here to assist us in the rise, because they understand that in order for us to get to where we're going, the frequency has to raise. And it's kind of like, the rheostat on that in a light. So in other words, this vibration is taking the rheostat and causing it to go up just a little bit more slowly. It's feeding the increase of frequency.
I knew it. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And interestingly, as you were sharing that, Lavera, just to elaborate a little bit more, everything you just shared, Sydney, is absolutely true. And because of the filter and the conditioning that's been put on our human consciousness, we perceive that this light, Lavera, that you are speaking about is coming to us to help us, right? What I'm being explained to right now is that it is what Sydney's saying. However, it's because we, as a human consciousness, have raised our frequency enough so that we are bringing that higher vibration to us. So it's not that see, again, the powerful creators that we are. And so instead of it being that they're coming to help us, we're rising up enough that we're bringing them to us. You see and feel that difference?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so just to elaborate a little bit more, Sydney, and it's exactly what you were just saying, about the old filter and the control and all of that. And so we're so programmed in that we don't even think what's being explained to me. We think, yeah, they're coming to help us. Oh gosh, thank you so much. When it's that we are empowering ourselves, we are raising not only our individual, but then of course our collective vibration, so that we are more powerful. We are the effectors. Instead of we're being affected by them, we are the effectors in our power. So again,
you're talking about the law of attraction, that we have gotten to the point that we are attracting this to the earth, that is going to assist us, but we're at the level where that we can merge with that and draw it in. It's the law of attraction.
And this is the beginning of the age of knowing.
We are in the age of knowing. We are the age of knowing, right? And so again, just to try and articulate our perception a little bit more. See, again, we're waiting for the age, right? Instead of the remembrance that we are the age. Do you feel that difference as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, yeah, I know IGMA's very, they're all about that tweaking of perception to allow us to remember and be in our beingness through the human that which we truly are. So, yeah. And again, that we are, our frequencies as a consciousness has raised enough that we are the effectors, speaks on your next question. Is it the age? And that, yes, we are the age. And there is the validation that we are the age. It's here. It is here. And so the more that we keep waiting, right, and we're perceiving it's not, when is it coming? Then again, we're in standby instead of standing in to our truth.
Thank you. That's what I perceived.